Hello DevOps friends, welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor. Happy to have you here, happy to be back after a week off stream where I had to take care of other things. For example, giving the Varnish Mastery course for the first time. And so I did my first cohort-based course as I had planned. At the end of 2023, I said, okay, I'm going to do a cohort-based course in Q1. And so I did successfully, with a few glitches, I'll admit, but that's to be expected since I haven't done courses in 20 years. And online as well, fully online. So yeah, it was a first, and there's always a learning experience for the mentor too. But it was really great fun, and I'm looking forward to the next part of the course. And I'm pretty happy about that. And the rest of the week I spent with following up on stuff, and on Thursday I had a medical appointment, a scheduled one, for unfortunately, so I couldn't do another stream, and on Friday I just didn't feel like it. So I'm back, and I hope you're having a great day. Today will be a mix of different development and operations things. I'd like to get back a little into Rails development, which I haven't done in quite a while, and we'll see how far back I have to reach with researching stuff and refreshing my memory. That's going to be fun. But I'm still excited to get back into Rails development, which is always great stuff, and it'll be fun for our customers as well, because it's going to be a customer-facing feature that I'm going to add to our hosting dashboard. So launching that will be great as well. And then there's also going to be some operations stuff if there's still time. I'd like to set up Portainer to run 1 or 2 or 3 Docker containers in production, and we'll see how that goes. That being said, let's not make this thing a monologue, even though it's going to be shorter than usual. I apologize for starting late. I dawdled a little bit during lunch break and came back late, and then I had to start setting up the stream when I was actually scheduled to start. Brewing my coffee by hand also took a little bit of time, so I'm starting half an hour late. But maybe we'll simply shift everything and go half an hour beyond what I normally do. We'll see. Let's not make this a monologue though, so pop into chat if you have any questions, if there's anything that you'd like to share or ask. That's what chat is for, and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. If you'll decide to lurk, that's fine as well. I always like it when other people do their work as well, because hey, this is work for me too. I'm just sharing it on the internet with you, and it's always good to know that other people have the discipline of doing something themselves. All right, so maybe if you could post something in chat, I can see if my new setup here, which I'm going to use for chat interaction, does actually work. Because, the more stuff that you install and set up to make things a little bit more professional, the more this whole thing becomes a Rube Goldberg machine. And I actually did have my OBS here crash just when I pressed record, and I hope that things are going to be stable. If you simply could say hi in chat, that would be great, and I could see if my stuff here is going to react. Now let me try something here. Hopefully, always fingers crossed that nothing breaks stuff. Quick open chat. There's Moo. Thank you for that. As you can see, there's already something new on stream, namely the emoji popping around. And let me see if I can get YouTube chat open as well. That looks like it's working. Awesome. Yeah. Whew. Okay, that's a relief. Things seem to be working at least as they are intended to. Now, let me start by setting up my development environment here. I'll do that off screen so I don't reveal anything sensitive, even though I don't think there is anything sensitive, but still. Okay. That looks strange. So, let's see. Yeah, I need to sign into GitLab because apparently I haven't in a while. Which means I need to sign into 1Password. Touch my security key. Okay. Now let's go into projects. Looks like the dashboard project isn't even in the list of recently used projects anymore. That's never a good sign. Okay, I think we're good to go. So here we are. Let's file a new issue. We'll call it feature cluster level contacts. For many customers, especially, well, we could simply write it in user story style, huh? As a customer, especially as an agency, I'd like 690. I'll look into that. Ah, interesting. That's a nice side effect to my new chat setup. Now I'm monitoring both YouTube and Twitch, and the cross-posting now leads to double posting on here. I'll have to take care of that quickly. Let me see if I can get rid of that. How do we do this? There must be somewhere where I can actually exclude bots, right? Filter out messages from host or bots. Well, host shouldn't be excluded. Okay, so I need to do hide bots, apparently. That'll probably clear the chat, yes. But not to worry, that should be the only time this happens. Now, let's get back to our user story. I'd like to assign a technical contact on a per cluster basis. On a technical contact on a per cluster basis. So I can assign different, well, yeah, that's basically the gist of it. The labels, it's going to be a feature in terms of severity. In terms of scope, it's going to affect the product. And in terms of workflow, we'll probably start with designing everything. We'll have to look at things first. So let's create this. And since my colleague Marcus, aka Moo, asked me about issue number 690, which is the second, or which upon now was the latest one. There's a bug. Okay, let's fix the bug first, and then we'll get to the feature. Actually, let's use the stream setup for my browser. Which I thought, and 150% zoom. Okay, that's better. So scripts remove SSH key from cluster .php, I think that's going to be RB, is broken. Okay, it still requires admin scripts. It does require a second admin script. Okay, that's strange. And unfortunately, the Restream bot doesn't get caught by my rule. Let's see if I can fix that quickly. Mm-hmm. Jump to new replacement host section to specify names. I see. That's down here. Okay. And here I need to enable this. Balthazar! Hey! Just a second. Thanks for welcoming me back. Yeah, I'm happy to be back, actually. So... Okay, let's see if that fixed the issue. Now we shouldn't get any more double posts, if I understood that right. Otherwise, we'll have to keep fiddling. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy to be back, and today we're going to get back into Rails development. Thank you. Great, it does work. Okay. Thanks for helping, Marcus. So let me look into this. I don't even know how these scripts are related. So there's a script, and there's the remove SSH key from cluster. Okay, and that requires an admin script, SSH key maintenance. And that's not in admin scripts, that's just script. Okay. I renamed the directory, or put everything in one directory rather, I think. So there's the SSH key maintenance library. Okay. Interesting choice to put a library in here. So I guess this should be a require relative SSH key maintenance.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Merlurin, welcome to the stack. Thanks for the follow. I really like your Twitch name. It's very melodic. So how is everyone? SSH key maintenance. Let me take a look at what this actually does. Bleary-eyed, Balthazar. Okay. That doesn't sound good. Still tired? Stayed up way too late playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. How is it? As someone who played Final Fantasy XIV, and probably will get back to that soon, because I think I'm going to lay off World of Warcraft for a while. I was also interested in FF7, even though it's pretty different, but there are definite parallels. I haven't. FF14 was the first one I even got into. I did ignore it for quite a while, even though, as I later realized, it's pretty similar on a superficial level to World of Warcraft, how it works, with dungeons and raids and all that stuff. I always ignored it because I thought, oh, that's some Japanese anime stuff, and yeah, I'm not into that. When I actually started it, because I got fed up with World of Warcraft, I realized I was an idiot, and I had a lot of fun playing FF14. Even though FF7 is very different, it's single player and it's not an MMORG. It looks interesting, and it looks like something I could play on my Steam Deck, because yeah, I am pretty unhappy by seeing that my Steam Deck gets much more attention by my son than by myself, even though I did buy it for myself actually. So I'm always on the lookout for games that I could play in my downtime, and even though that downtime is pretty scarce, I want the Steam Deck to be part of that, and yeah, so I have no idea if I'll have fun. Yeah, that's what I thought. Let me check the new feature here. That's amazing. So I love the narrative storytelling in FF14. I enjoy it much more than the one in World of Warcraft actually. And yeah, I think that I might like it if it's a mix of action and story, similar to how FF14 works. I might actually get it. I have it on my wish list, so I think I'll simply grab it when it's when I can get it on a discount. Mallorin says, dropping in while working. Amazing. I'm working too. No worries, Mallorin. And greetings to Brazil. Looks like you just got up, or just got to work, at least, I think. Happy to see that the stream is able to reach South America. Okay, so the thing that I'm pondering right now is that the place where I want this library to be? What even is this? Add key. It grabs all websites for a specific cluster. Let's get this a little bit wider. And then it goes through them and adds a key, or it removes a key. So that's cluster-wide maintenance. Mallorin, don't feel bad about language. I mean, English is my second language as well. I am German, and we only get better by practicing. So feel free to post as much as you'd like. Don't overthink it. You do full stack stuff as well? That's awesome. I come mainly from the operations side of things. I'm a greybeard sysadmin, a grizzled sysadmin who got into software engineering and SRE, and so site reliability engineering. Well, I did start development far before I started system administration, actually, but I've spent the most part of my professional work time with system administration. So yeah, but today we're going to do some Rails development first. So my main job is as the CTO of a small web hosting company. We are specialized in high performance hosting for Drupal and WordPress. And the Rails application that I'm working on is our customer dashboard. And so there are a few maintenance things that we have to do from time to time. For example, if an employee of a company, of a customer company, has or leaves the company, then their SSH keys need to be removed from all the websites they are associated with, and that's what this maintenance library here does. And so the thing is, this library is apparently a bit of a quick hack, because that's actually something that belongs into the cluster logic. A cluster is basically a set of servers who that run a bunch of websites for a customer. So a customer has at least one cluster. We have agencies that have many, and each cluster can run as many websites as the client wants to. And so this is something that should be part of the cluster business logic, actually. So I think I'm going to migrate that and make this file completely obsolete. You always wanted to understand how deployment works? Yeah, you'll probably get to see that, actually. We're going to deploy this change later, first in testing and then probably right after that in production. So let me see. You'll probably get to see the whole life cycle of this change. I started by creating an issue. No, in this case, I didn't create the issue, my colleague did. That gives me an issue number, 690. And that means I can actually start by creating new branch. Let's make sure I'm going to start with the current code base. That is the case. And now I can use my GNB alias, which creates a new branch. And the branch number starts gets at the start, and then we'll say SSH maintenance, something like that. And since 690 connects this branch with an issue, I don't have to be too elaborate in naming this branch, because everyone can simply go to the issue on GitLab and read what this change is all about. And of course, it's also a matter of Git commits later that should be explanatory. So, all we want to do is basically add this add key and remove key feature to the cluster model. But let's take a look first at the remove SSH key script. That can't be simpler. We take two arguments, the cluster name and the SSH key, which is the ID of the key actually. And then we instantiate the SSH key maintenance object with the cluster name, and then we tell this object to remove a key. We could also use it to add a key, but in this case we're only going to use it to remove a key. So I guess we'll also have to take care of the add SSH key to cluster script, because that does the opposite. And first of all, we need to fix this. I mean, with these two changes, the hotfix would actually be done. And I think I'm going to go and release this as a quick fix. So Moo can actually go ahead and make the change they want to do for the customer. That should not be delayed by my attempt at beautifying everything. But I'll actually adhere to the Boy Scout motto and try and leave the campsite at least as good looking as I found it, and ideally even better. So we'll do this refactoring as a next step. But with that, this should actually work. And I think we can even try that by running it on my development instance here. However, I'm not even sure if I have the necessary development data in here, so let's make sure that's actually the case. We are running the test website on port 3000, so I should be able to go here and open localhost 3000. Yep, that works. And I'll go in here as super user, which is no, it's a super user at example.com. Example.com super user. Murderin, thank you very much for the subscription. That's very kind of you. Password is super user 12345, if I remember that correctly. Remember me, please. Nope, that didn't work. It's 123, I think. Super user 123. Of course, this is just development data.
Launch mode. We are at DEFCON 1. DEFCON 1.
Shari makes art. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. Welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor. Happy to have you here. I only just started working on a change to our Rails application that we're using, but before we get into that, let's defend the channel while the rest of the raiders will use the attack command. I'm going to use the defend command, and I invite all previous viewers to use the defend command as well, just like Balthazar does, but raiders, feel free to use the attack command to try and hack the system. So, Shari, what have you been up to? I hope you had a great stream. Read, write, execute, Ganta. Welcome to the stack. Thank you for following. Oh, Duke. Oh, Duke. Duke. So lovely. Shari, thanks for the raid, and have fun studying. I know how it is. I recently had to study a lot to ahead of launching my first cohort-based course on the Varnish proxy. And yeah, I know how it is, and I hope you'll have lots of focus and lots of coffee. Duke, at least that's a very creative way to use ChatGPT, and so that's more than welcome. All right, so Tiberian, welcome as well. What are we doing here? So as I said, I'm working on a Rails application. This Rails application is actually the customer dashboard our customers use to interact with our managed hosting platform. And there has been a bug, probably by a change that I made somewhere in the past. So my colleague is now stuck because this bug prevents them from actually finishing a support request. So I'm hurrying to make sure that this gets fixed.
It's a Unix system. I know
Hungry Hippo, thanks for the follow. I really appreciate it. So, oh, that's actually one of my favorite songs from Harris Heather, Spectre. I just love the octave bass. I'm a child of the 80s. What can I say? And by that I mean I had my formative years in the 80s. I'm actually epoch old. Hungry Hungry says, I hear Rails, I follow. Amazing. Yeah, Ruby is my lifeblood. And so Rails was an obvious choice when it came to developing this application. Which I had to, because after a few years of running the hosting platform only based on support tickets, we realized, yeah, we need some kind of an interface that we can offer to our customers that's not ticket based. So yeah, I got to develop this, and yeah, we've been running it ever since. It could be maintained a little bit better, I'll admit that. And so this is a new attempt to get myself more into Rails development back again. And so let me see. So since I was able to log in successfully into my test application, that means we have data in here that should enable me to run this actually. So let me do exactly that. We'll do a mundle exec rails exec script remove SSH key from cluster.rb. And I'll just invent something. It won't make any changes since there shouldn't be any SSH key named foo, but it should show that the script is working successfully. Which it isn't. It's not exec. It's Rails run. See, that's how you can see that I haven't done this in quite a while. Proxeus, welcome! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday to you! Hungry Hipper says, I'm hoping it'll make a big comeback, miss the first wave of Rails popularity. I'm not sure if it's going to be popular again, if there's going to be another Rails hype. But it's not going anywhere either. So yeah, I'll be a happy Ruby and Rails developer for, I guess, the rest of my career, actually. And I don't depend on it being popular. The Ruby community and the Rails community are awesome, which probably can't be said for some of the leadership in the Rails community. I'll put it this way. But the Ruby community and Rails community are both awesome, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Indrax says, I'm a Ruby lover too. That's amazing. So many Ruby lovers around here. Duke asked, how about getting into Rails plus Nuxt for the front-end stuff? Oh, you mean a decoupled approach? That would be amazing, actually. I'd be so curious about that. I've never done that, and I still haven't got into JavaScript development or this kind of front-end development at all. And I think that would be really awesome to do that. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll get to that anytime soon because I'm very busy with a lot of stuff. For example, getting my teaching business off the ground, which you can find at monospacementor.com. And so, yeah, even in this application, there is only the most rudimentary of JavaScript in here. First I'll have to get into things like Turbo and Hotwire and things like that before I can even consider adding front-end JavaScript logic like Nuxt, Vue, or something similar. So yeah, it's going to be out of reach for quite a while, I'm afraid. Now, Rails Run didn't work either. I am completely useless with that stuff. Is it Rake? What can I do with Rails in the first place? I can run a console, okay, fair enough. but if I want to execute something, it's Rails runner. Now I remember. Okay. Jeez. Duke said, I guess leadership problem in that regard are probably everywhere. So some make it more public, some keep it rather under wraps. That's true. That's true. Bethesda said, yeah, something about the time commitment as well, debating on trying out Rails, but because I don't code nearly as much as I'd like on platform as such, it's hard to justify trading my speed and comfort with Django. And I'm not sure if Rails will actually give you that much more than Django already does. HTMX and Alpine.js is something that I'm interested in as well. Alpine.js especially, as I said in my application in here, we don't have almost any JavaScript, and I think the stuff that we have in there is actually Alpine.js. Yeah, I'll definitely need to get more familiar with that. Now, let's see if Rails Runner does what I intended to do. Yeah, I mean, no error message is always good. I guess I'll add an SSH key to a cluster now, just to see it disappear when I use the script. So let's take this website here. And we'll add a key. We'll call it test content. The description is going to be foo. Let's add that. It says change was successful. Was it though? Is it listed in here? Yes, there is a SSH key named foo. We are talking about cluster C1, so let me try this again. Let's remove all keys named foo from the cluster C1, which is only one instance, but that means this should now have disappeared. Let's reload that page. It's still there though. Interesting. Interesting. This does not work. And shouldn't this also do some kind of output? Yeah, there's a puts in there. And there's a puts in there as well. In this case, it does a Rails logger info though. So we should actually use the same approach in both cases, either logging or simply console output. In this case, I'm actually going to duplicate that simply to see something on my console here. Okay, that's actually working. Did we have a log output in here? Segment, logging a lot of stuff. I need to get rid of that segment stuff as well. We don't use it anymore. And apparently, at least in this case, it didn't log anything. That might actually be related to the log level though. Yeah, we need to get that stuff out of there. Actually, what happens if I run this without any segment stuff? Without the segment key, I mean. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Because I need to look into my N file, I'll switch you off for a second here. Is this AWS? No, it's in this case, no. We are hosting this website. We're going to deploy it on Heroku. We're still using Heroku because Heroku has been the go-to platform for Rails applications for quite a long time. It's not anymore. Lots of people using other platforms like Fly. So let me take a look at my end file. I don't think there's anything sensitive in there. It's all just test stuff. So that's that. If I nix the segment key, what's going to happen? Let's see. It's going to be somewhere in config initializers, right? Just a second. Okay. Where's the segment stuff hidden? Segment analytics, and that's the only place. Analytics. Okay, so analytics. Lots of places where it's used. Where does it get initialized, though? I think I'll have to look for Capital Analytics. Here in Services Analytics. That's somewhere up here. Analytics.rb. And here in the setup. And if that's an error, it simply logs an error. And that's what is writing a lot of garbage in our log. We should not try that if the write key is empty. Write key equals. We'll use that. Unless write key empty. Where do we actually call setup? Here. So we'll do unless at backend nil. So setup will return nil. Which means that backend is going to be nil. This should also do some kind of memoization, actually. That's not really written very cleanly. But that should do the trick. Yeah, I'm confident that this is going to work, so let's Restart that. We shouldn't see any segment errors anymore. And now let's run our script again. No log entry. Interesting. It should log an info key here. We're not see. Oh yeah, I'm only seeing the log of the web application. So yeah. You know what? We'll let this run next to here. So let me see if we run this again. Not this. This. No output, but now we got some log entries here. Actually, lots of them. Where's my... Oof, so much stuff. Here, delete from SSH keys where? SSH keys ID in... Okay, so we need an SSH key ID instead of the description. Yeah, the description is not unique and not very reliable. So I need to identify the SSH key ID and then I can use the script. Okay. Yusuf Rajmat on YouTube asks, how to be a DevOps engineer? Do we need to take certification of it or just make some project? I would say the latter. I mean, certifications are only necessary if your company requires them. And I am pretty doubtful of the value of certifications, actually. When I hire, I try and find out myself what people are capable of, what background they have, what experience they have, and then it's up to me to decide if the experience they have is in some way applicable to what I need the people for. And that means even if you don't have a certification about a topic I'm interested in, you might have skills and experience that actually can be translated into what we need. And even though you don't have a certification on the specific stuff that we need, you might have all the skills and experience to do that. Let's just take an example. Say I would be looking for someone who is able to manage a huge fleet of AWS resources. And now someone applies for the job who doesn't have any AWS certification but has years of experience with Google Cloud. Of course, that can be translated to AWS. The product names are different, but the whole concepts are more or less the same. And so it's not the certification that counts, it's the experience. And how do you get experience? By doing projects, as you say. So just get some practical stuff under your belt, and you should be good in terms of applying at companies that take a sensible approach. If you have people, companies that only hand off stuff to HR and tell them simply look for this and that certification, you won't get a job there, but they'll miss out on someone who is pretty capable, and so that's their loss. And actually, you don't want to work anywhere where people take such a cookie-cutter approach to hiring people anyway. Okay, how do I find out which SSH key ID I need to use? So let's actually log that, and simply by logging that, I have some kind of documentation how this actually works. So we'll call it SSH key. To be honest, this should actually be renamed to SSH key ID, and then it would actually tell me something. If this wasn't named as generically as SSH key, which could be anything, it could even be the key itself, the RSA payload. If I had named that correctly, I wouldn't need any documentation in terms of log output or comments. I was actually about to add a comment, and that's something I only do very rarely because I really don't like comments. Usually comments are a sign of a shortcoming in other places. There are valid applications of comments, I'm sure, but this wouldn't be one. And let's try if I can actually rename this to SSH key ID. And that should make things much more legible here. What about empty IDs? I'm not sure what you mean by empty ID. An SSH key, as any record in the Rails database, will have an ID. So that's that. But the question stands, how do I find out which ID this is? This is going to be pretty impossible. Actually, that's what I thought too, Moo, but it's not. It's the actual ID. Let's take a look at the library again. We are looking for all websites that belong to the cluster, and then... Oh no, you're right. Oh, it's the content! The key content is the actual RSA payload. You're supposed to pass in the RSA payload? Who built this stuff? It was probably himself. That is... Oh dear.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Samsapi, welcome to the stack. Nice that you're joining us now, as I'm embarrassing myself with code that should have never seen the light of day. Oh dear. Moo says, otherwise you can't remove or find keys that only contain the key itself without any identification. Yeah, you're right. But in terms of admin experience, AX, having to pass in the actual RSA key to have it deleted actually feels even worse than having to feed in the numerical record ID of the SSH key. But I know why that is. And that's a design flaw that we fixed in the meantime. But the problem is, this was the initial implementation how we associated SSH keys with websites, by adding them directly to a website. So this is not a central record in the sense that the same SSH key can be assigned, the same SSH key record can be assigned to other websites. If you need the same key for a different website, you have to add it to that website again. And so the same key can appear in the system as many times as there are websites. So the only way we can actually delete these kinds of SSH keys is by identifying them either by their comment, which is foo in this case, or by their content, which is usually the RSA key information. So it's not the code that is stupid here, it's actually the design that's stupid. And we fixed that by now, so I'm happy to admit that. This is a legacy use case here, and that's why this description up here is there. Use this section only for application SSH keys to grant access to a user. Simply add them in the users section, and then the whole normalization kicks in where there's only one instance of one specific SSH key, and that gets associated to an arbitrary number of websites. So later we implemented that how it should be, but we still kept the old way. I think since we are dealing with legacy business logic, I'm not going to bother a lot with that. So that means I have to actually pass in test content to get it deleted. Yeah, it's not pretty, but it is what it is. That's the literal definition of technical debt, I guess. So instead of foo, I actually need to pass in the key. Yeah, you're right. The reason why it's still there is because there are use cases where there's no user per se, except if you want to add users for CI systems, kind of virtual users or system users. What I mean is that we don't have to do a lot of maintenance for this anymore. So I don't feel as bad of subjecting ourselves to that kind of AX as I did before. You're very welcome, Yusuf. If you have any other questions, simply post them to chat. Okay, so let's see if test content can be deleted. There was log entries. Can we see some deletion here? Lots of stuff that's happening. That's a bit the problem with this ORM stuff. Here's the deletion. I actually succeeded. It did remove a key from staging.folkman.name, which is this particular... No, it's not, actually. There must have been another SSH key with the test content. It's not surprising, actually. So it looks like we deleted quite a bunch of keys here. But let's see if actually this particular key here disappeared. Yes, there's no key anymore. Okay, so it does work, which is all I wanted to prove. That means we can actually release this change as a hotfix. Oh, I'm sorry, Yusuf. I have missed your previous question, right? Thanks for making me aware of that. Yes, I did. So let's pick this up. They wrote, so in the dev side, like front-end, back-end, they can show off by showing their projects, but on infrastructure side, like DevOps and network, the project isn't actually visible. How do we convince if we are capable? That's a valid question. Very valid question. I think it's also not always the case that front-end developers can show off their stuff, because oftentimes it's internal stuff. I mean, if they were working on a customer-facing and internet-facing website, of course they can claim that, okay, I built that. But you're right, if it's about infrastructure, you can't actually show anything that an interviewer could take a look at. But if there are the right person to hire, they should be able to ask questions about the stuff that you did, actually. So if you, for example, claim that you have built infrastructure for deployment or hosting infrastructure, server infrastructure that some stuff runs on, you should be able to list the technologies that you use to do that. Did you use configuration management software? Did you use something like Terraform to set up the infrastructure? Did you use specific services that are running on these servers? And if you list them, you should be able to answer questions about that too. And your interviewer should be able to ask questions about that. So, for example, if I were to interview, I would say, yeah, we did Ruby on Rails for our hosting dashboard, and the infrastructure was centrally configured using Chef. We had hundreds of Linux servers being configured by Chef. In a central manner. We heavily used Nginx or MySQL, and now I should be exposed to all kinds of questions by the interviewer, and that should then prove if I am capable of doing the stuff that I claimed. If all I can do is list names of open source software and can't tell anyone anything about it, then it's going to be dubious if I would be that capable. But if in my case, I'd be pretty confident that I can answer all kinds of questions on these technologies. So I'd leave that to the interviewer. Actually, you are not required to bring physical proof of the stuff that you did, except if you can actually come up with references or something like that that can confirm that you were doing what you claim to have been doing. But yeah, I think leave that to the interviewer to tease out which experience and skill sets you have. And Balthasar is right. Being able to reason why you did specific stuff is an important part of demonstrating your skill level. Because, yeah, why did you use Nginx? Because my supervisor told me to, or because our chief architect told me to. That's not the best of reasons. You should be able to actually talk about the advantages of the solutions that you employed. Precious Up is asking, I'm looking for a budget unmanaged VPS from the Nordics. Do you have any suggestions? Was looking at OVH, Vultr, DigitalOcean and BuyVM. I mean, DigitalOcean is always a good pick. OVH I don't have any experience with, and Vultr neither. We have been running all our infrastructure with Hetzner for 14 years now, and so that's definitely what I would recommend. Because I know that you do get more than you pay for. Hetzner is pretty inexpensive, especially compared to many US hosting companies. And always need to be wary that you get what you pay for, but in terms of Hetzner, I think they are definitely on a level where you get your money's worth, if not more. They not only do fire sales, they have something like what they call server auction, where you can actually get their used infrastructure at pretty low prices. It's mostly hardware that they took out of that is a little bit outdated or something, but still working nicely. And if you just need one server here and one server there, and you don't depend on all your servers having the same specifications, for example, the server auction at Hetzner is a good way to get a good deal. Yusuf, I'm happy that I was able to help. And if you'd like to, you can also visit monospacementor.com and subscribe to my newsletter, which I've started to write on a weekly basis, where I also can pick up questions and stuff like that. And Duke's right, they have found very efficient ways to provision servers. If it looks like anything like the company I was head of core IT back in my corporate days, then it's they basically run commodity hardware without any cases and stuff like that, with probably custom rack mount hardware, where they don't have to take care of the power supply, the air conditioning and everything for each and every single server. They simply put all the hardware into a single rack and cool that rack, and that's it. There are a lot of impressive ways to save money if you run data centers at the same scale as Hetzner do. Duke says it's just a bit sad that they don't offer servers with GPUs for AI stuff. Well, they do now. I'm pretty sure I read something like that just recently. I don't memorize newsletters that much, but I think it was Hetzner that announced that they now offer stuff like that. Or was it ARM? I'm really not sure. It's worth a look. Bethesda says they do offer GPUs. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so script works. Now let's deploy that. We are working in Rails, which means I don't have to wait for a huge CI run, but still let's do our local test suite first, which we can simply do by bundle exec rake test. Ooh, that doesn't look good. What happened here? That looks like a more... Oh, I think it's the segment stuff, right? Yeah, I shouldn't make changes willy-nilly like that. Oh, address already in use. The test server tries to attach to port 4000, but I have a completely separate project running on port 4000. That's why it broke. That's my website, actually, isn't it? No, it's my slides. Okay, let's stop that. And let's give this another try. But I think the segment test, if there's a segment test, it'll break. No, it won't. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, that's what I remembered. It was the RTX 4000 or even the... what are the server-grade GPUs? The ATX 4000? How do they call their AI GPUs? The APUs? They're not calling them ATX because that would be confusing. So, backend identify. Visitor login is successful with valid credentials. Called in service analytics, where we call identify. I guess I need a new guard clause in there as well. Where is it? Analytics. There is an identify call. Yes, there is. Ah, yes, there are two more backend calls here that we need to guard. I guess we'll simply do return if backend nil. I was just about to say I'm not too fussed about issues that I'm causing with the changes to the segment integration here, but I just realized that I'm really giving a bad example because I'm changing stuff that's not at all related to the change that I'm making. It was just annoying me to have my development log flooded with segment errors. But that should not mean that I make these sweeping changes on a whim without really caring about the consequences. So even though my test suite now finished successfully, I'm going to actually revert the changes that I made to the analytics file. So I'm going to revert this. That leaves just the two changes to the scripts. Let's make sure they are actually identical in terms of logging. So the add SSH key now, yeah, it still has a put s in here, so we should actually make that part of the log, which means that we'll steal from the remove key. So this is a logger info, and it's not actually... It isn't really worth anything because, yeah, it says we are removing some key from a specific cluster, but that's obvious because that's how the script got invoked in the first place. So this log entry isn't really helpful at all. And I don't want to log the whole SSH key either. Even though it's public key, it's not that sensitive, it's still not really helpful. So I'm going to actually remove both output here. So let's run another test just to be sure. Doesn't take that long. Ah, yeah, the A100 and stuff like that. That's what I meant. Ah, it's just run-of-the-mill RTX stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think they are just entering this space, and there will be additional offers for sure. Alright, this works. Only two scripts fixed, so let's actually commit this. Why don't I see any... Ah, there was an update of my Z-shell prompt, and now I'm running into the bug again that was in there. I was wondering where the Git branch information went that is usually displayed with my branch here. And it did get displayed up here. It's just stopped to be displayed here. Strange. Okay, let's write a commit. That is a fix to the scripts. Fix in include path of well, let's just call it library. Include path. This change fixes a change of the directory in which a library used by the SSH maintenance scripts is stored. I'm pretty sure this library should actually become part of the cluster model. Just to leave that as a comment. Let's push this. Okay. Interesting. I did not remember that we moved that, but fair enough. And let's create the merge request. Assign that to me. No reviewers. I'm the one person who needs to approve that anyway. Delete source branch. Create the merge request. I'll be generous and approve this. And I'll set it to auto merge. So this gets rolled out immediately. Since it's only 2 command line scripts that I changed, this will have no impact on the actual web application. So we can actually deploy this as quickly as possible, which GitLab will do automatically. So now that now we're getting to the topic of deployment here, this pipeline will run the same bunch of tests that I already ran locally here, which means that should actually be successful. And after that, if they are actually successful, it'll run another CI job, and I think I'll be able to show you that. Where's my GitLab? CI.yaml. So that's the test, which simply runs rake test, just as I did in the command line. And then it'll deploy everything to the staging instance. And for that, it'll simply use the DPL gem, where it says DPL provider Heroku, and it uses the application ID and API key that I've stored with Heroku, or with GitLab in this case. And then we'll run database migrations with which this change doesn't have. And that's it. And that means it'll be deployed to the test environment. And in order to also get it deployed to production, I need to make a manual merge into the production branch and push that. And then it'll do the same basically, but it'll use a few more Heroku commands. It switches maintenance mode on, so customers using the dashboard at the time will see a maintenance screen. It'll actually scale the workers down to 0, which means the application goes offline. Then we'll do the deployment, run the database migrations, and then we'll scale the workers back up and switch maintenance mode off, and the change will then be in production. We don't go through this effort on testing for obvious reasons. So all I have to do now is to actually wait for the pipeline to pass. Now it's running the deployment pipeline for staging, which means it has already been merged to the main branch. So I can actually switch to main, pull my latest changes, can delete branch 690. And in order to get this into production, I'll simply I'll switch to the production branch, merge the main branch in here. As you can see, the two changes that got merged are my two scripts here. And then I push this to production, and GitLab CI will then do what I showed you, which is take the production application down, update the code, and then spin the application up again. So it'll cause a short downtime of a few seconds for our customers, but it'll also allow us to finish a support request for a specific customer. So that's that. Shipanashu, hello, welcome to the stack. Shipranshu, sorry for that. That poor SLA. That's why we don't have an SLA, at least not in terms of dashboard uptime. In terms of website uptime, we do have SLAs with many customers. Our main problem is that even the uptime for customers without an SLA is that excellent that their customers aren't really incentivized in getting an SLA to get better uptime. The SLAs that our customers actually sign with us are purely on an insurance space, so they actually have something then they can hold on to. Customers without an SLA basically get the same kind of service level anyway. Is that called a humble brag? I think the website isn't updating because this pipeline should have finished by now, shouldn't it? No? Interesting. GitLab taking its sweet little time. So that's the staging deployment that automatically ran, and we should actually also be able to see a pipeline in parallel that does the production deployment. So yes, there is, that's the main branch deploying to the staging instance, and that's the production branch deploying to the production instance at the same time. So Moo, if you're still watching, you should be able to get on with that support request in a few seconds' time. Oh. I think I also went to bed too late last night. I seem to share the same issue with Balthazar. Feel a little bit tired now. You're more than welcome. It was my fault in the first place, I think. But that means we could actually go back to issue 691. Not sure if that should have my focus next, though. So give me a few minutes to think about it. What am I going to do next? Because there's also another customer with a custom project that I should actually get deployed ASAP. And that will require me to set up a new cloud instance with Portainer so we can run actual Docker payloads, or workloads in this case. I think that's going to be next. Beth says I'm having trouble getting going in the first place. Yeah, I did get something done today, as you saw, so I have that going for me, but yeah, I think at this point in the past I would probably wrap up the stream because I just feel a little bit drained and don't have the energy. And it's actually 4 o'clock already. I've been going for 1.5 hours already. Wow, time flies. Maybe it's also... Is it hot in here? No, it's 22 degrees, so it's not that. Very strange. And I did have my coffee. There is still coffee left even. Yeah, Duke should already be approaching Feierabend. Which is a great German word, which literally, translated literally, means party evening. But it's simply the word for wrapping up work and doing something else. Strange that this is actually a German word, because I don't think Germans usually are the kind of party people that leave work to go to an after party or something like that right away. Vorspiel next. Yeah, I think that's what comes after Feierabend, I guess. Duke having a lot of fun with generative language models. We do enjoy our free time, I don't doubt that, but it's not that you'll see Germans going to a party right after wrapping up their work on a Tuesday afternoon, do you? All right, so I think I'm going to try and set up Portainer on a cloud instance now. In order to do that, I need to get a new cloud instance, and I think I'll do that privately. You know what? Let's switch to talk mode while I'm doing this. See you tomorrow, Marcus. Have a great evening. Get some rest. Okay, so Let's see what Duke or ChatGPT came up with. Origin of Feierabend dates back to the Middle Ages in German-speaking areas. Was used to denote the end of the working day, a time when workers could rest, enjoy leisure activities, or spend time with family and friends. This transition from work to rest was often marked by the ringing of a bell, signaling that it was time to cease labor. Interesting. Yeah, but I guess bells already were used to signal specific times of the day, prayer times, for example, time to go to mass. So it's not surprising that they also would ring in the end of the workday. It's just the word fire, which means festivity, party, something like that. That's a little bit odd in the context of German. So, where do we put you, little cloud instance? I think I'm going to create a new project for that. And let's add our first server in this project. Can actually use a more recent version of Ubuntu. Nice. We'll use an AMD CPU. Let's start with something small. Not too small. Guess we need 4 gigabytes at least. Okay. We'll need an SSH key. No volumes, I think. No firewalls. And because I'm really, really creative, I'll call this machine Container 1. And here we are. Now let's find out how to install Cortana. Latest version of Docker. That's something that we'll still have to install, I guess. So let's do some housekeeping first. Update. And apt upgrade. Even dist upgrade, I guess. I think I'm getting a second wind. It's like in the book, The War of Art. Resistance always gets in the way, and if you push through, it'll get you somewhere. Resistance is one of the signs that of what you need to do right now. Okay, we have that. So now let's do an apt install docker.io, right? Okay. Now, first create the volume that Portainer server will use to store its database. Docker volume create Portainer data. Okay. I forgot that. That volume exists. Okay, and then we'll simply start Portainer. And it'll map 8,000 to 8,009 443. Fair enough. Okay. I was thinking maybe I want to map that to port 80 and 443. But I don't want to break the SSL provisioning, so let's keep it like this for the time being. And that's that. Portainer should now be running. It is. Let's try and log in. Okay. I need the IP address. Just a second. Credentials are still self-signed, but at least it's SSL. We'll have to find a way to manage these credentials. Okay. Proceed using the local environment which Portainer is running in. Yep. Okay. Nice. And here we are. Local environment running Portainer itself and nothing else. Balthasar asks which creds. Wait, I'll post them to chat. Give me just a second. Haha, just kidding. Hi there! Since I don't speak any Vietnamese, I'm not going to try to pronounce your name, but welcome to the stack. Balthasar says, sorry, I meant which creds are you needing to manage? To manage what? I just did. I just set up a local admin user, actually. No, I don't speak Vietnamese at all. But since you are familiar with Portainer and especially the business and enterprise versions, Balthasar, what's the best way to actually manage a fleet of Portainer instances? I mean, this is my first one. It's not going to stay the first one for very long. So question is there a way, what's the best way to manage a whole bunch of Portainer instances without having to have... and that was what I was referring to. I created this local admin user and stored it in 1Password in our DevOps vault so I can share it with the team. But I don't want the list of admin accounts in there to keep growing. So the question is, how is there a way to do that with the community edition of Portainer? Of course, I could get the enterprise version, and that would get me something like single sign-on or something. But so far, in my experience, our scale is too high to get enterprise versions of software because we simply can't afford it. Since while our scale is pretty high, our prices are pretty low, I would say reasonable. And so our budget usually doesn't allow us to actually pay for enterprise versions or licenses on a yearly basis. And so my question is there a way to use Community Edition and still not have to log into each and every single instance that you're running? Okay, question is, do I have the information that I need to deploy what I want to deploy, which is Notch. Notch is a software that does web scraping. It's a project of the Apache Foundation, so it's closely related or associated, for example, with Apache Solr as a search index. Notch can actually scrape websites and then write the results into a Solr index to make it easily retrievable. And the customer is going to use that for quite an interesting use case. They have a newly built website, but also a legacy website with loads of content. And what they want to do is actually crawl the legacy website and write everything into a Solr index that is shared with the newly built website. So if people go to the new website and do a search, they will actually also find results that will get them to the legacy website, which is, I think, a clever approach to migrating from an old website to a new one without having to actually migrate all the content right away. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that eventually, but bridging those two websites using a web crawler is, I think, a pretty nifty idea. So Balthasar needs some clarification. Guess I'd asked how many nodes are you trying to manage? Let's say 10. And Do OpenID without the business edition. Okay. Interesting. I'll have to actually investigate that. If you're keeping all your Portainer nodes managed through a single server, then that keeps the pain pretty low. That's what I was thinking about. Since Portainer seems to offer that I can log into one server that then displays environments from additional instances, that would be ideal. If I had this server, for example, container 1 here, as my central administration server, and I can go to any Portainer instance we are running from here, that would be great. And no, I don't think there is going to be a use case for role-based access control yet. Our team will have the same kind of access anyway. Either people will have access, that's the ops team, or they won't. And we're not going to let customers, for example, deploy stuff on here or make changes to the environments. So we actually don't need some kind of a authorization scheme here at all, I think. I don't see that becoming necessary anytime soon. So yeah, the requirements are pretty low. I just don't have any experience with running a bunch of Portainer servers because on my home server, I only have a single instance. All right, so let me see. Did I make my experiments with Notch in my temp directory? Doesn't look like it. Okay, that's bad. Just a second. Ah, thank God I built in that mute button. Yeah, I actually did contact Portainer Sales and got in touch with someone who's actually based in Germany, but I was so busy that I couldn't take the conversation, and that reminds me that I need to get back to them and find out what the actual cost is. It's probably going to be beyond our budget, but it's always nice to know. And yeah, this contact sales approach is always a little bit annoying. So where did I do that? Put that then? It could be in source fry still. Doesn't look like it. Oh yes, yeah, there it is. So there's a Docker Compose YAML with a little default setup with a Solar Core and the Notch instance that will simply run the default configuration, which will crawl the Notch website.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Fortran, welcome to the stack. That's an amazing name. I have to ask Fortran, are you old? And by old, I mean, like I am. Just kidding. I mean, if you have been around this channel for a while, you know that I still dream of learning an older programming language such as Ada. Fortran would be a good candidate too, because you can still build great stuff with modern versions of Fortran. It's just that I don't have any scientific projects where Fortran really could flex its muscles. Nothing mathematical or scientific, so I guess something that's a little bit more general purpose like Ada would be more up my alley. Balthasar, sharing the knowledge. Portainer Business Edition gives you baked-in OpenID configs for Google and GitHub and such. Definitely set up Google Workspace based OIDC on the free edition. Okay. Since we are about to ditch our Google Workspace account, we will probably rely on GitHub or something similar. Yeah, I would think so. GitLab should be able to be an identity provider that we can use. Okay, so am I going to deploy this? Why not? Why not? We can deploy it as a stack. I'm going to use the web editor. We'll call that stack Rohalion notch, and I'll simply copy that in for the time being. But now we'll have to think about the volume situation. Things like the XML files that control the behavior of the instance should be accessible, so it doesn't really make sense to put them into Docker internal volumes. Gaming Buddy asking, what's going on? I'm about to deploy a little bit of to deploy a web crawler on a newly installed instance of Portainer. Portainer is a management user interface for Docker containers, or for OIC containers in general. It doesn't have to be Docker, I think. You can even use something more open source like Podman, but yeah, it's a very nifty UI. Total Eclipse screaming, Docker, Composer! Ooh, Balthasar couching his next post. Now I'm curious. Yeah, those quick deploy templates are great. I started using Portainer on my home server. That's running next to my desk here, and yeah, getting something like Uptime Kuma or something like that up and running only took minutes thanks to their quick deploy templates. Many Compose projects assume that you're working out of a local directory unless they're thinking about Swarm. Yeah, you're right. And I don't mind that. That's actually taken from the Notch documentation, and I don't mind them using the usual approach of mapping a local directory inside the project into the container. I'm perfectly fine with this being up to me now to solve. It's fine that they assumed that you would be running that from your local directory, unless you know what you're doing. And yeah, that's something that if it's not the case yet for me to know what I'm doing, then I should aspire to get there quite quickly. Gaming Buddy asks, I don't know about any of the things. I want to learn DevOps, how to start. It's interesting. That's the second time today we get this question. So DevOps seems to be very popular at the moment, and people getting into DevOps is obviously an important topic. And that's why over on monospacementor.com, I'm definitely going to offer more learning content about DevOps and system administration and SRE and these things. So how to start? I think doing something similar like I'm doing at the moment is actually a good approach. What am I doing? So the situation I'm finding myself in is we have been approached by a customer. They want to run a specific software. I realized that there's an easy way to get this software running using Docker images. And now the problem I have is, how can I get Docker images running in a production environment that will allow us to manage this service for that specific customer? And so I got myself a cloud instance just a few minutes ago. I installed Portainer on there because I know that's a great way to make Docker containers manageable. And now I need to think about this specific software, which is called Notch, and how I can get it running on there so it will stay maintainable. In general, my approach was I need to solve a problem, and I got myself some server resources, and now I'm trying to set this up. I might end up realizing that this is the wrong approach, or that it's a generally good approach, but it has shortcomings in specific areas. I don't know yet, but I'm definitely going to try this out and see how far I can take it. And that approach is definitely something that I can recommend. So if there is anything that you're interested in the DevOps space, for example, maybe you want to run your website yourself. Of course, you can go to WordPress.com and set up a blog there, or get a website hosted at Squarespace or something like that. But both of them will very probably sell your content to OpenAI and other learning models without you seeing any penny for that. So maybe you say, okay, I want to run my own website, but I want to run it myself. And so you could take the approach of saying, okay, I'll get myself a little droplet at DigitalOcean, install a web server like Apache or Nginx on there, and get your website going. And you'll start learning from day one and expanding your knowledge and your skills by doing. Learning by doing is still the most recommended way to do stuff. Of course, if you have someone to guide your doing, that's even better, which is why I'm running monospacementor.com, where I can actually guide people and give them one-on-one coaching and courses and stuff like that. But still, doing it yourself is the same way like I grew my career in the last 3 decades. So yeah, that's definitely an approach that I would recommend in that case. That would be my general answer to your relatively general question. If you have anything more specific, feel free to ask. Total Eclipse asked, big fan of it. I would assume that you are referring to Portainer. Looking into getting into Kubernetes. Any good resources you'd suggest? Not yet. Actually, I'm taking it step by step. I am very slow in adopting the cloud native approach to things. I was late to the game with Docker, and I'll also be late to the game with Kubernetes. So I'm not yet at the point where I would use Kubernetes. As you can see, I'm just about to get into production use of Docker in the first place, and I think Portainer will be a good environment for that for quite a while. I did actually get a managed Kubernetes cluster from DigitalOcean simply to get some experience with it. So, for example, our company websites run on that Kubernetes cluster, and I built the deployment based on GitLab CI again, where GitLab CI uses our static site generators, creates an image, pushes the image to our GitLab registry, and the Kubernetes cluster then gets updated with the new image ID and take the website online. It's nothing spectacular, but it definitely got me going with Kubernetes. And to get there, I simply trawled the Kubernetes documentation itself and probably lots of Stack Overflow or superuser.com. Anything else I find out will definitely land on my blog over on monospacementor.com. Balthasar wrote, there's no analog for shipping a single file from config to a location in Docker Compose or Swarm, like there is with Kubernetes config maps. Yeah, I think that's part of why Kubernetes was invented in the first place, because Docker itself just did not get that sophisticated. K3s up to get a quick and easy Kubernetes K3s cluster going. Okay, I look into that too. That's a great recommendation. I did set up K3s on my workstation at least. And it's good to see that K3s up is also something that is usable in that regard. Nice. Totally Gibbs says, I'd heard before, don't go Kubernetes in things that don't need Kubernetes in. I felt that. Tend to dive in deep with that, so I was just looking for something for local dev testing to see what... And yeah, a K3s is definitely a good approach to do that. The folks over at Rancher did build something that's really manageable and that doesn't have a lot of overhead if you're just trying to test the water. Yeah, I think solving that volume problem is going to be a topic of another day because, yeah, it's already getting late here. And even though I hinted at going over the usual schedule because I also started late, I don't think I have it in me today. I'll have to do that when I have a fresher brain tomorrow morning. And yeah, I think I'm going to wrap things up in terms of live coding at least. I might actually reference the Portainer documentation as well, what options I have to do these volume mappings, if I maybe designate a directory that's available to a shell user, even if it's root. And I map that into the document into the container, similar to how that looks at the moment. So something like let's do something like serve Portainer stack Hallion notch / notch for the notch container, something like that. I think that might actually be the solution. Thanks for being my rubber ducks. That does actually look pretty nice. I just need to create this directory actually. And how do I get these files in the first place? Did I create them? Looks like I did. Or did I download? Yeah, I think I might have cloned a repository or something like that, because I didn't write these files myself. Bethesda found out that there are config map analogs in Swarm. Still, is Swarm a thing? I don't think it ever got off the ground, did it? I think it was overshadowed by Kubernetes from the get-go and never got anywhere. Getting more traction. All right. I didn't follow it closely for obvious reasons, because I really thought it would be obsolete. So, if I transfer my notch directory to the server, that should actually do the trick, shouldn't it? It's worth a try. We can always tear this down and build it up again in a different way. So let's do this. Thanks to Atuin, I should still have my IP address in my shell history. And let's do it like this. And then all we have to do is create the directory hierarchy. Serve container, stack, Rahalion notch, and move the notch directory there. And so now I need to repeat the same directory path. And since that directory path was the last argument of the previous command, I can simply press escape, period. And there it is again. That means if I take a look at that directory now, there is a notch directory in there, and it has the files that I need. Okay. Let's see, is there anything else that I need to check? So I did actually comment out the volumes here, because I didn't see the need of persisting the volume, but actually it might be a good idea to do that. So we call it solar cores. Which means I also need to declare them here, right? Solar cores. That should be it, shouldn't it? That should get us going for the time being. Let's see if this works. Oh, validating. Volumes must be a mapping. Does it have to be? Not an array. Of course, yeah. Deployment in progress. No red notification so far. Despite the ominous music, it seems to be working. I guess it's just pulling the images now. I'm tempted to go right into the containers tab. Oh, look at that. Stack successfully deployed. So let's take a look at the stack. Yeah, there's a solar and a notch running. Huh. Did I get it right from the get-go? That's a first. Let me see. Is there a log? Where's the log? That's the log, right? Okay. Whoa, it's working. It's already crawling notch.apache.org. Freaking hell. Well, yeah, I mean, I had a working configuration to start with, so it's not that surprising. But still, stuff working on stream at the first attempt? That's still amazing. At least it's not another embarrassment. But it's a good point to wrap up the stream on a high. Don't you agree? Sorry, just... That is great. So, any questions, folks? Anything that you'd like to ask? Anything that you'd like to share? Oh dear. I know who we are going to raid. It's going to be Zoding. Because they are exploring Ada again. Just mentioned it earlier when Fortran joined the channel, and I saw need to insult them right from the get-go by asking them if they're old. Which was, of course, just kidding. I would count myself in the same age bracket as other people I consider old. Yeah, seeing a well-known streamer doing Ada is definitely something. All right, so let's raid Zoding then. Okay, folks, that's it for today. There won't be a stream on Thursday because I have a work appointment in the afternoon that would fall in the middle of my stream. I might do a stream afterwards if there's still enough time. I can't tell yet. But I think there's going to be an office hour on Friday at 2 p.m. UTC. And so I'd like to see you then. Precious up, you're more than welcome if you'd like. Also join us on Discord. And that's it for today. So let's go ahead and take a look at some Ada, shall we? Until next time, take care. Whoops. My Stream Deck stopped working. I know why. Well then, where's my end scene? Here we go.